Hey everybody, we are going to wait a few more minutes since this is our last webinar for baking for a few more people to sign on. There's quite a few that registered, so I want to make sure we can start with the most people that we can. So we'll wait a couple more minutes and get going. Hey everybody, we're back. Yay. Here's Oms, here's me, Bridget, and we're going to get started here in just a moment. Looks like we have about half of the registered signed on, so we'll give it a few more minutes and then we will get baking. Yay! Okay, oh, looks like there's a question. Let me see if I can get that question answered here. Okay. Oh, everybody's saying hi. Hi. Hey, everybody. Great.
This is your first time?
Yeah, looks like so.
We'll review a little bit, just a little bit, not too much.
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of review, but we've got to get baking today.
Yes, we do.
Big day.
And what do they have to do?
Okay. Somebody asked right now, so you're already looking at the recipe. If you don't have buttermilk, let me just very quickly look, but what you do is you mix. We only are using a 1/4 cup of buttermilk, so what you can do is just put a 1/4 cup of regular milk and then put like a teaspoon of lemon juice, squeeze lemon juice into it. And that will make it kind of sour like buttermilk is.
Don't you have to mix it?
Yeah, you can mix it. You should mix it, yeah. Okay. All right, all right, we're gonna start in just a second. I only have almond milk. Okay, well, let's give it, you know what? It's totally fine.
Yeah.
We actually made the recipe last night to make sure that it wasn't like strange, like that orange honey spread.
Yeah.
And it went well. It did go well. So, but we might give you some suggestions as we're making it today, like add a little bit more of this or whatever. But the almond milk, I think, is totally fine.
I don't know if you've seen the recipe. Have they? They've seen the recipe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but we're gonna do that like the way saying hi.
Oh, hi,
Okay.
TK.
Okay, great. All right, good. So we have we have most everybody here. So I think we're gonna get started. So again, hello everybody. We're back for our final baking, and this time we get to bake. So we're very excited about that. What we thought we would do is do a little review of the rules for baking before we start so that you can do those things if we need to. So without further ado, let's do that. So here we go. Wait, let me just make sure before I do that, because I can't see questions while I'm doing that. If there's any other questions. Okay. Okay, great. All right, here we go. So we're going to get started. Part 3 of 3. All right. Baking. Okay, so this we went over last week at the very end, but I just want to go over it again because these are important rules before we start. So here we go. Wash your hands before you start to mix ingredients for baking. You want to go do it again?
Sure.
All right, so she's going to do it one more time.
The 3rd time I did it.
Yeah, 3rd time. So her hands are going to be probably cleaner than anybody else's, but that's okay. So while she's doing that, let's look at number 2. It says, be sure the bowls, so your bowls, spoons, cups, and pans have all been washed. The same thing, they need a washing. Make sure there isn't food stuck on them. So get that ready. All good there? Okay. And this is another good one. If you have long hair, tie it back. That way the hair won't fall in the food.
Have long hair.
Yeah, you can see long hair, we tied it back. So it's way out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you always wash everything you've used when you finish baking and leave the area clean. Your parents will love you for that. So you definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
And a good time to wash the bowls and things that you've used is while you're waiting for the food to bake in the oven. So we can try that today, actually. If everything goes well and we put everything into the oven, we can kind of do some cleanup, all of us together in our kitchens while the food is baking.
Yeah.
Okay. So, oh, here's another one, right? Don't open and close the door a lot while the food is baking. That's not a good idea. What happens if you do that, Alms?
It would probably not cook all the way.
Right.
Because remember the first time we said with constant heat. So when you open it up,
right,
it's not really constant anymore.
Yeah, the heat comes out. And especially if you're baking something like a cake, it can kind of deflate if it hasn't finished rising. So what you want to do is you want to keep it at the right temperature. If you need to check on it, it has a lot of ovens have an oven light. If you push the oven light, you can kind of peek in there and look and see how things are going. Okay. All right, so before we get to this very last thing, and then we're going to get started on our recipe, I just want to make sure that everybody's okay and we don't have any questions. So let me just check really fast. Okay, yeah, we are going to go over the recipe. We're almost to that.
Yes.
Hopefully most of you have gotten all of the ingredients that you need together, but if not, we'll give you a couple of minutes and we'll before we really get going on it, okay?
We're making animal cookies, by the way.
Yeah, we're making animal cookies. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Last things we're gonna go over. Beginning to bake. So the first step in baking is to decide what you want to bake. Well, we've already decided we're making animal cookies.
Yes.
When you've done that, you can have someone help you find a recipe. We've done that. We already did it.
Yep.
Okay, the next step is to read the recipe, which we're about to do. Read all of the recipe before you do anything else. Be sure you understand each step and we'll be able to do it. So that's very important.
Yes.
You have to read it through because you might not have an ingredient, or it might say, here's something that's happened to me. You might be baking a cake and you go down the list and you see something, but you've already started baking, you've already started mixing, and then you see one of the ingredients and it says at room temperature.
Oh.
And where is it located? In the refrigerator. So that is not good.
Yes.
So you want to read the recipe first so that you can get your things all in order and ready to go. If you did not do that today or didn't have time, that's okay. This isn't too complicated a recipe, but that's a good thing to note when you're baking.
Yes.
Okay, then the other thing, get out all the things you'll need for baking. So you can see from our little area here, Ami has all her things out for baking.
Yes.
She's ready. And she put them onto the table. So that's what we've done. If you need your flour, you get it out. If you need a mixing bowl, you get it out. Have everything ready to go. So you won't have to stop and look for something.
Yeah.
And then it says this way, you can also make sure you have everything you need before you start.
Could they use the KitchenAid like that?
Yeah, but I think today we're just going to do mixing by hand for this recipe.
Okay.
It'll work fine. You need a little elbow grease, which means you need a little muscle to mix, but it should be fine.
Yeah.
And then the last thing to do before you begin measuring and mixing the ingredients is to set the oven to the right temperature so it can preheat. We are doing this now, everybody. We're going to do it right now. So for this recipe, your oven needs to be at 400. So go set your oven to 400 and then come back.
Make sure when you put the cookies in and out, you have someone to help you because 400 is very hot.
Yes, for sure. So set your oven. Go ahead.
Okay.
Set your oven. We're setting our oven, 400. Does it say 400?
Yeah. And
it's heating up.
This is the oven light you can use.
Great. Okay, good. So ours is getting set to 400. All right. Everybody doing that? Okay, if you have a toaster oven, that is fine. Just set it to 400. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Mackenzie.
Oh.
Okay, good. Awesome. So we're about to start this recipe. In fact, I'll switch it there now. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to put this slide up and it's going to show the recipe. If you don't already have your ingredients out, the next step after you've set your oven is to go get those ingredients. Okay, so we'll give you a couple of minutes to do that.
Okay.
Let me just make sure there's any more questions. You want to do it at 400, not 350, 400. This needs to be a little bit higher temperature. So 400 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? Okay.
And it is, yes, 400, and it will bake for 7 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll
Yeah.
get to that part. So one other thing too, a couple of you have mentioned this in the question and answer, and I've gone over it a few times. If you're going to bake today and actually use the oven, I would like you to have a parent there or some kind of adult helper, so that with the oven and getting things in and out of the oven, that it's not a problem. So if you don't have that, you may just need to just watch today and then do the recipe later, okay? But otherwise, let's get going. So I'm gonna put the slide on for you. Here we go.
Alrighty.
There it is, animal cookies.
Animal cookies.
So let's go over the ingredients really fast. And I noticed somebody mentioned they don't have oatmeal. I think that that's not the right word. I think they meant oats. If you have oats like these, you can use this.
Yes.
If you don't have oats, make up the difference in flour. So you see how the next thing says 3/4 cups of flour? Just add a 1/2 cup of flour and 3/4 cups of flour. So make up the difference with the flour, okay? So if you do have it, great. So we've got the oatmeal or oats, flour, baking soda, salt, butter, 2 teaspoons of honey, and buttermilk. Yeah, and buttermilk. And if you don't have buttermilk, just use a 1/4 cup. The recipe says a 1/4 cup. Just use a 1/4 cup of milk. And if you have some lemon juice, you can squeeze some lemon juice in there too, like about a teaspoon of lemon juice into the milk and stir it.
All right.
Okay?
Ooh.
So hold on.
Okay.
We're giving you a few minutes here to get the ingredients.
But there is something I want to say.
Okay.
Make sure you have baking soda, not baking powder.
Yes. Okay.
I have messed that up, except for with baking powder and baking soda. I was supposed to put baking powder in cookies, and I put baking soda, and they tasted very funky.
Yeah, okay. So for this recipe, you use baking soda, not baking powder. To preheat the oven, someone's asked, you preheat to 400, and it'll take as long as it takes. Probably it'll be preheated to 400. If it's like my oven, similar to how long it takes to heat, by the time you're ready to put them in the oven, it will be right around there is when it will say it's preheated. Normally there'll be a light that goes on or off when your oven is preheated and ready to go. So we talked about not having oatmeal. You can use flour instead. And then if you don't have butter, I see that someone says they don't have butter. I think, yes, you could use oil. I think just use the same amount. Don't use any more, but that should work too.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's get back to the recipe. You probably need to see it. Okay, so we're gonna give them a little bit more time. Ons, while we're doing that, why don't you tell us like what your favorite thing has been to bake so far? Not just in the webinar, but just baking.
I did like baking my grandpa's cake.
Oh yeah, that was fun. What was the flavor? Lemon,
Orange.
right? Oh, it was orange, okay.
It was an orange cake.
That's right.
Everyone thought it was really good.
Yeah, we made an orange cake, that's right. What would I say is my favorite to bake?
You bake a lot.
I do. I love making coconut cake. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, I love coconut cake.
And sometimes we make it as coconut cupcakes, right?
Yes.
And then just coconut cake. What else? I like to bake. I mean, I like to bake things that aren't sweet too.
Yes.
Like
shepherd's pie.
Yeah, that's good. Shepherd's pie.
That's
yummy.
very good.
Yeah, so there's lots of things I like to bake.
Yes.
Okay, hopefully everybody has gotten to get those ingredients out. I'm gonna just check to make sure there aren't any questions that are really important here for us to get going. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Okay, all right, everybody.
All right.
Here we go. So,
Excited.
let's get back to the recipe. All right.
Right.
Says heat oven to 400. We already did that, so we should be in good shape.
One step ahead.
In a medium bowl, you're going to stir together the oatmeal, flour, baking soda, and salt. So let's get to it. You're going to need to have your measuring cups, right? Measuring cups, measuring spoons, and just a tip, because we tried doing this last night when we baked. Don't have a soft spatula or spoon. Have something that's kind of hard because you have to mush the butter in a little bit, and that's a little tricky. So don't get a soft one because it won't work very well.
Oh, and by the way, it's not 2 teaspoons of honey because we actually found that the cookies weren't so sweet. So we decided to have 4.
Yeah, so that's up to you. You can do 2 teaspoons of honey, or you can add 4. That's okay as well. It's a pretty healthy cookie overall anyway, but I think we're going to try 4 and see if we think it tastes better. Okay? All right, so let's get going. So stir together the oatmeal. I'm going to turn this way so they can see what you're doing.
And I can see the thingy. Okay.
And you can see that. Okay.
All right. And a medium bowl, stir together the oatmeal.
Okay.
Okay. How much oatmeal? Half a cup of oatmeal.
Our oven's not even at 200 yet, but it should start moving faster here.
And this is pretty difficult to get in.
What is that? That's the, is that half a cup? Yeah. Okay, good.
Right
Excellent.
there.
I'll get that out of your way.
Thank you.
3/4 cups of
And
flour.
then flour. The 1/4 cup's over there.
But I thought I had it. No, it's right there. That's a 1/4 cup.
That's 1/4 cup. Oh!
There you go. So
No, that's a 4th cup.
That's a 1/4 cup. 4th cup is
Oh,
a 1/4 cup.
I thought it was 1/3 cup for a second.
So you got your flour right there. I'll get this out of the way. You know, I think this would actually be, I'll get you a knife. This would actually be a fun one to experiment. Like we've been talking about, you know, some people don't have oats, so they're adding flour. Some people don't have buttermilk, so they're gonna use milk with some lemon. You know, the other thing is you could try sugar instead of honey. There was something else I was thinking. Oh, vanilla would probably be good in this too. Although this recipe doesn't have that, but I think that would be kind of good. Okay, so she's putting in the baking soda now. You can see that.
Now we're gonna do the salt, and that's also a 1/4 cup, right?
Not a 1/4 cup.
I mean, teaspoon.
That would be the worst cookies I've ever had.
That would be the
pretty much
1/4 teaspoon. That would be the worst cookies I've ever had.
Yeah, it would not be. Those would not be a pleasant.
All right.
Would not be good.
Okay, I put a little too much, so
okay,
put that back.
Oh, did you already get it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, and great. So now you can go ahead and stir that together.
Okay.
There's your handy dandy
Stir.
spatula to stir. Get that stuff out of the way. I'm going to quickly just see if there's any questions while you're doing that. Stir, 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 everybody. If you don't have baking soda, try baking powder. I think you can use steel cut oats. Oats, if you have oats. If you've already made like an oatmeal, I think you could try using that. Might be a little wet, so you might not want, if the oatmeal's wet compared to oats, so you might want to use less buttermilk or less milk. Otherwise it'll get too sticky. The dough will be too sticky.
All right.
Okay, and the baking soda, try the baking powder. That should work instead. Somebody's mentioning, can I not share the screen? But the problem is if I don't share the screen, you guys don't see the recipe. So I have to share the screen. So I'm going to go back so you can see. Hopefully I'm big enough on here so that you can see us. But I want you to be able to see that slide. So, okay. So good. So we did that. Now let's mix in the butter. This is the part where you take some muscle here, guys, to get the butter all blended in. It says mix butter until all the lumps are smaller than peas. You want me to put it? Yeah, it is. It is.
Sure?
Yep.
Okay.
I've had it out all morning.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
There you go.
If it's not soft, couldn't you put it in the microwave with like
Yeah,
not the paper on?
But not everybody has microwave. So we're gonna do this. So you're gonna mix until all the lumps from the butter are smaller than peas. That's important, otherwise the butter isn't blended throughout. It's gonna take a little, this part's gonna take a little bit. So it's a 1/4 cup of butter. 1/4 cup of butter.
I might need another small spatula.
to help you with this part?
Yeah, this
Okay.
part's more difficult
All
for
right,
me
I'm going
because
to do a little bit of this.
one
It does take some work.
I don't have enough height, and the other is I don't have that much strength as my mom.
All right, let's keep going. And, you know, Ami mentioned earlier, could we do this in a mixed master or a KitchenAid? You certainly could. But I figured this way everybody could do it, even if you didn't have one of those.
Yeah.
So,
If you do, you could. Yeah, you
so
could.
what I'm doing is I'm kind of, you can see how I'm like kind of chopping a little bit. I'll put it down so you can see a little bit more. Just chopping it a little bit here. Try to get all the butter blended in there just until it's the lumps are a little bit smaller than peas, and then we're good. Once you start, it gets going. And you sometimes have to go like this.
Yeah.
Get
If
that
it's
off
stuck
of
to the
there.
spatula, just
Yeah.
brush it
Keep
off.
going.
On
And you
that.
put the butter. You put the 3/4 cup of flour into.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh wait.
Are you sure? You only do 1/4 because it's.
I did 1/4.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
She's better fix that. No, you want to do this 1/2 cup because it was 3/4 cup of flour.
3.
If you only did this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to do that now.
Just this one?
Yeah, just that.
Oh.
So that's a 1/2 cup.
I'm not. Get it back right now.
All right, let's see what's happening here. Anybody have any questions?
I bet people were like, she didn't put enough.
Okay, somebody says they put too much baking soda. If you can, try to take some of that baking soda out, because that won't taste too delicious because baking soda is a bit salty. So try to take some of it out if you can. See if you can scoop some out. If you don't have baking soda or baking powder, I'm not totally sure what you could use here. You could just try without. The main thing that those are for is to help make the cookie rise and get bigger. So if you don't have baking soda or baking powder, you could just try it without. It just probably won't rise very high. Okay. Oh, yeah, I would still use it if that's the only baking soda you have. Somebody's asking if they could use it since it says it's for fridge cleaning. Go ahead, just use a quarter teaspoon of it. Don't use more. And then someone asked how much teaspoon equivalent for cup regarding butter. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Oh, 4 teaspoons. 4. No, not 4 teaspoons. 4 tablespoons. If you have a stick of butter, let me show you. Do you have a stick of butter?
Like,
What it's going to look like is half of it. Take half a stick. That would be a 1/4 cup, okay? So just take half a stick. Yeah, someone's asking, saying it's semi-thick consistency. Yeah, yes, basically. We'll show you. We're still mashing ours a little bit, and I think probably everybody's in the stick, like stuck in this butter part. But that's kind of what it looks like. We wanted to get it a bit smaller, okay? So let's do that, and I'm going to go back to the slide so everybody can see what's
a little powdery
recipe
right
is.
now, but the buttermilk when you put it in is yeah, it makes it better. You can do this because I'm not very great.
Okay, all right,
I'll switch. Should you?
we're getting there.
Should I bring the computer closer to you?
No, we're good.
Oh, really?
We're good.
Here, I'll put it down.
So when you're done with this part, and it's okay, I'm going to give you some time before we put all this in the oven and everything. If you're still mashing, trying to get your butter into sizes that are a little bit smaller than peas, that's okay. We are too. But when you're done with that part, you're going to stir in the buttermilk or your milk if you don't have buttermilk and honey, okay? And then your dough will basically be ready to put on the floured surface to roll out and to make with cookie cutters.
Oh, I'm excited. I don't know about anyone else, but I really do like touching dough because I think it's like soft and squishy and I like it.
Yes, that is fun. All right, I think ours is in pretty good shape here. Yep, okay, great. So you can check too, why don't you check?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
All right, excellent. See if anybody has any questions really fast here. Okay, that consistency should be okay. Let me just show you quickly here. This is what I'm talking about. See how there's little bits, just little bits of the butter throughout? That is what you want to see, okay?
All right. Okay, what's
I'm
next?
gonna go back now. How much butter? It's half of a stick, okay? Or 4 tablespoons or a 1/4 cup, however you wanna look at it.
When you see the 4 on it, you cut it there.
There it is.
At that line.
That's funny. There it is. 1/4 cup, 4 tablespoons, or half a stick. That's what it is.
Yes.
Okay, with the lemon, someone's asking for the buttermilk. I would just put like a little squeeze or maybe a teaspoon in is fine.
Look.
Wow, that was fast.
Yes.
Okay, our oven is all ready to go.
It's ready.
Okay. Okay, so somebody's saying that they've added their oil and the dough is very wet. Okay,
well,
wow, hold on. So you haven't, if you haven't added the milk yet and it's very wet, let's just see. We might need to have you add a little bit more flour to yours.
but
Yeah, if your dough is really wet, no, they're not because they used oil instead of butter.
Oh.
Okay, so that's fine. That makes sense that it would be wet. Let's wait. Yeah, I'm gonna put the recipe back down. Let's wait until we have put in the buttermilk or the milk and see what it's like. If you feel like it's not a dough consistency, add some more flour. Okay, you might just have to like test that out a little bit. This is a good example, everybody, why you do look at your recipes ahead of time to make sure you have everything. Or if you don't have those things, you figure out something that would be a good substitute, because otherwise we're all kind of going, oh, well, let's try. Okay, so we're now on to stirring in the buttermilk and honey.
Yes.
Buttermilk or milk is 1/4 cup. Okay, so like this, 1/4 cup.
Do we do honey?
And the honey is 2 teaspoons. You can do 2, you could do 3, you could do 4.
We're doing 4.
We're gonna do 4, yeah. And then you're gonna mix that into what you already have here, the mix, okay?
All right, I'll pour, you stir, Ma.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna do that first? Okay.
Can you see it? There we go. We like honey. Okay.
1. Here, hold on to it. There you go. Okay, next one.
Right.
Mix
Mix it in. Right.
Got 2?
2.
Okay.
All right, and now there's going to be 1 more because, I mean, 2 more.
2 more,
actually.
right? You're
Yeah,
doing
2 more.
Okay.
Next.
We're mixing.
You
3.
might be like, how come we aren't going to do the honey in the liquid cup? Well, the honey isn't really a liquid too much.
Well, it's
more,
kind of in between, right?
Yeah, it's more of like a harder sort of stickier.
All right, and here's our buttermilk, so we're gonna pour that in. Look at how thick and kind of goopy. All right, so you can do this part. You can mix this.
All right, I can mix
So we're mixing it until it becomes like a dough, okay? And it's gonna be stiff. So that means it's not goopy. If yours is goopy, this is what I suggest. Add a little more flour, okay? If you're finding yours is too goopy, add a little bit more flour. Don't have it be really dry, but also it can't be too sticky. So just give me a second here. I'm just gonna check to see if there's any, okay. Yes, I'll show you what ours looks like when we're done, so you can see before we take it out. Before we take it out of the bowl.
Oh, that's much better than yesterday.
Okay, so back to this. So just to go over again where we are, we took the oatmeal, the flour, the baking soda, and the salt, and we put that in a medium bowl and stirred it, right? Then we mixed in the butter and got all the butter in until it was around the size of peas, a little bit smaller. And then we stirred in our buttermilk and honey. And the dough should look like this. This is a good consistency right here. So I'm gonna show you. That is the consistency.
Here, you should stop the screen share and then show.
All right, I'll show you here really fast. Like this, okay? So it's it's pretty stiff. Pretty stiff, okay? See if there's anybody. All right. I'm gonna go back to the recipe again. Okay,
right.
So we're gonna just we'll give you a little more time to do that part. And then we're gonna head over to the the cookie sheet station and the cookie cutter station
I'm so
to
excited.
roll out the dough, okay? Now, if you look at your recipe, what it says, I think you can bring it over there, Ami. Okay, if you look at your recipe and what it says, it does say to use a lightly floured surface. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you have something like this, right? And that you put a little bit of flour on it. Go ahead. Yeah, that's good. And then just all around. Yep. Get it all around everywhere where you're gonna have the dough. Yeah, okay. All right,
Everywhere.
and so lightly floured surface. You probably don't need as much flour as we just did.
Yeah.
You can do less if you want.
I'm
Okay.
excited.
And then you're gonna roll the dough to 1/8 inch thickness. I'm gonna show you what that looks like in a cookie that we made yesterday so that you have an idea, because not many people have rulers or
Flour your roller.
measuring things in their kitchens. So
Flour your roller.
let me,
If you have one.
let's see if you can still see her. Okay, there she is rolling it out, but you
I'm
haven't.
just rolling it on
Okay,
the
are
flour.
you putting the dough out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just putting the flour on the.
All right, let me see if anybody has questions here. Sorry for peeking here. Okay. Okay, good. All right, hopefully you guys are doing this and it's working for you. And if it isn't, that's okay. I mean, I know it's frustrating, but if it's too sticky, add a little bit of flour and that should do the trick, okay? So I'm gonna bring it back to so you can see Ami's doing it, but I'm gonna bring it back to the recipe so you guys can look and know what to do. Okay, good, so you do that.
It's just a little sticky.
Okay, so that's where the flouring, using a little bit of this flour, Ami, on the rolling pin.
Yeah.
And where?
More flour.
Oh yeah, I'm looking for the cookies. Okay. So everybody's oven should also be pretty close to being the right temperature now.
Or done.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a dog we made yesterday. There it is. And this is about the right thickness. It could be even a little bit thinner than that, but that's basically the right thickness. I had a ruler, and I took the ruler and I measured, and that was about.
All right.
It could be a little bit thinner. Like near the leg is a good thinness, if you can see that.
Right.
Let me just stop share for a second so you can see. This is a good, like right here is a good thinness, okay? Or thickness, if you want to say it that way. So if it's rolled about that thin, that's okay. Yeah, where you can roll it even a little bit more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to have you look at what she's done so you can see. You could get it. You could be about that thickness. I think is great. Okay. I'm going to put the recipe back up for you. Okay. Okay.
Ooh, hopefully it's better than
All
last
right.
time, which is going to be.
Let's give everybody a few minutes here to roll. Okay, here's another thing. I just wanted to mention. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. There. Ah, okay, there we go. You can kind of see her a little better there. What I was going to say is, if you don't have a rolling pin for some reason, if you don't have something you can use that I've used before is a glass. Just be careful you don't break the glass, but you can take a glass like this.
We use thicker glass. That.
Like this, okay? And just turn it and go like this. Look, I'm rolling with a rolling pin. My glass rolling pin. So you can use that too.
Now
Either
it's
one.
too
Yeah, that's okay. I think
Well.
that's okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
thin. Yeah. Now it's too thin.
Oops. Swish, swish, swish. Okay. Very good. Okay, so now let's see if everybody. Can you give me kind of a show of hands in the Q&A if you're ready to move on to cutting them with a cookie cutter?
Just say yes.
Yeah, yes would be fine. Say yes, I'm ready.
Just a little bit of lemon juice. Just squeeze.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit. No, someone says okay. One says okay. All right, we'll give you a little bit more time.
Just a little. Ooh, I sort of want to try.
But we do have to, we're gonna start, great. We're gonna need to start pretty soon. Uh-oh. Okay, Mackenzie, put flour on your roller. Put flour on your roller, that'll help. And the other thing you could do is you could even put flour on your cookie cutter. So here's our cookie cutter, right? I'm putting a little flour on it. And then you can put it into the
should we do it now?
the cookie batter, the dough rather, the cookie dough.
Ready?
Yeah, so we're gonna start, but that's okay. You guys can still do it. Okay, still mixing, that's fine. We just have to, it's already, we only have 10 minutes left of the webinar and we gotta get this stuff in the oven. So just, if you're not there yet, that's fine. When we're done with the webinar, you could continue, okay? Let's go. Lemon juice, you only need about a 1/4 teaspoon. Just do a very little squeeze of it. That's it, very little squeeze. You don't even really need it if you don't want to.
All right.
Okay, so.
Put it lower.
This, yeah. Okay, so
All right.
here she goes. I'm gonna have you watch, and then we're putting it back on the slide so you can see the recipe.
And I like shaking it around so it's definitely out of the dough.
Okay, good. So there's that. Now I'm gonna need to move out of the way with this. So here, you go ahead and put it here. Let's put it over here on the tray.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll go right here.
Whoa.
There you go. That's a much better shot.
There
Okay, I'm putting the recipe back now.
All right, then I'll do like little cat flour at first.
So she's busy there. Hopefully you guys are all, here, I'll move the rolling pin so you can see. She might need the rolling pin again, actually, to roll out more. Sometimes when you've finished doing the, one set of cookies, you'll find you still have some dough left. And so you can kind of put it back together and then roll it again and make some more.
Make them about 1 inch apart.
Yeah. So that's what the recipe says too. It says, roll the dough out to 1/8 inch thickness. So we talked about how thick. They're not very thick. If you look here, I'm going to just show you. Look here, that's about the thickness. Okay. And then cut into your shapes with your cookie cutter and place the cookies 1 inch apart onto the cookie sheet. So she's busy doing that.
Just making sure it's all there.
And then we're going to get these into the oven.
Yeah. I'm probably just going to do 1 dog because they are pretty big. Doesn't matter what shape or size it is.
Okay.
Oh no, the tail's going to fall off. It's falling off. No! Well, tailless dog like
Okay.
those other dogs.
Like some dogs. Don't
Like
have
some
tails.
dogs.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Do
no.
it. How about do a couple more and then let's get it in the oven because it's already, it's like 3:06. We've got to get them in.
Hustle, hustle.
Hustle, hustle.
It's fine. That's a good one.
I'm going to check to see if there's any questions here while she's doing that. Okay. Okay. All right. Looks like we're doing okay. Like I said before, guys, if some of you are behind, I understand, that's fine. In order to get this done around the time the webinar ends, we have to just keep moving along. So this recipe is in the book, the course book. You see that says baking right there? That was given to you in your registration for free, and you can download that and get this recipe. And here's the other thing we can do too. Even if we've already got our things into the oven, we can leave it on this slide for a while while the people who have theirs done in the oven are waiting for theirs to bake. So we'll just leave it on here for a while, okay? So how are you doing there? Are you gonna do a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
she's
rolling it out again.
rolling out the rolling pin a little bit more to do some more because there's more dough. By the way, it says at the bottom makes 2 dozen cookies. It definitely does not. Does not make 2 dozen cookies. Makes more like 1 dozen.
It's a lie.
Or I suppose it would do 2 dozen if you were making like
Small.
like small cookie cutters, like maybe ants. Like ant
Okay,
cookies.
not ant cookies, but I mean like something really small.
Yeah. Okay, so she's doing an elephant one now.
I am.
Let's just do a couple more on
Hold
so
on,
that we
did
can
I
get
do it
this
the
in the
other?
oven.
Nope. I thought I did it wrong. Okay.
Let's do like that and 2 more, and then we're popping this in the oven, okay?
Oh no,
Good?
it's a small little elephant that's stuck to there.
Okay.
So let's not do
Okay.
that one.
Let's do 2 more, and we're getting them in the oven.
It happened again, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's why you have
Oh my
dough
goodness.
on the board, so that
Oh
it
my
so that that doesn't happen. Why don't you do it
Okay.
over here where there is dough, where there is flour, okay? There we go. Good.
Alright, just take
Put that out onto the cookie tray. Good. 1 more. Pick 1 more, and then we're gonna
we might
pop these in the oven. Okay, perfect. Over near where the flour is, so that you can get for sure get it. Oh, and you can kind of separate that part out. Okay, we're getting close to putting ours in the oven. Hopefully some of you are too. That would be great. We're getting there.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So push that one on there.
Might have to move them around a little bit.
Okay,
Oh,
I
one
think you're good.
is some-
Okay, let's take it. Let's do it.
Okay,
All right, let's take it to the oven.
here we go.
We're going to the oven. Just putting it in there. And if you read the recipe, it says bake for 5 to 7 minutes in the preheated oven. So if you want, we're gonna put ours on for 6 minutes. Okay, there we go.
We set a timer.
And everybody else, we'll leave this slide on, okay, for a little bit. And you know what, actually, maybe what we'll do so we can see everybody in big, we'll do cleanup later. We don't need to do that now. But if you are finished and you have put yours in the oven, you can go ahead and do cleaning right now while we're waiting for the cookies. But please make sure your timer is on so you know when they're done.
Yes.
And the trick to knowing when they're done is if you peek through and you see that the edges are lightly browned, that means they're done. And then you can take the cookie sheet out and get the cookies off of the cookie sheet, put them on a plate, or we have like the cooling tray. You could use one of these, like cooling rack, and put it on there, okay? So what I think I'm gonna do, in case any of you have questions, is I'm gonna take it off stop share, but I'm gonna have, or the sharing, where I'm sharing the slide with you, but I'm gonna have Ami hold the recipe up. So can you do that and put it towards there so they can see it? Well, not that far. Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're way too close.
No, but they can't.
Okay. All right, yeah, maybe, you know what I'm gonna do? Good, okay, someone made their own flour, that's awesome.
Their own flour?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's, wow.
Okay, great, so I'm gonna put it back onto the recipe because I don't think this isn't working very well. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's no.
So, hopefully everybody or most everybody's gotten to the part where your cookies are in the oven.
Yeah.
We only have a few minutes left of the webinar, so I want to make sure that we all get a chance to say goodbye, and if there's any questions I can answer about baking or what we've gone over, I'd be happy to do that. Like I said before, and I pointed out over there, we have the program that we have at Delphi or Delphian School has many courses like this, and baking is one of them. And we just thought it'd be fun to do an online class with you to learn about baking.
Yeah.
So let's just see if there's any questions really fast.
And when you take it out of the oven, make sure you have a glove.
No, you don't need to put anything on the cookie pan. Great, people have them in the oven. That's awesome. Okay, good.
Can't hear.
Great. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not sure. Maybe if you can't hear us, it could be because somehow you might accidentally hit mute on your screen. Unmute that. Okay, great. Okay, it's exciting. Good.
Let's see how they taste.
All right, let's
when
go
they
back to the
come.
slide just in case people are still using that. What else? I was going to mention something else. Oh, I know what it was. When you are done, let's say everybody, when you're all done, if you get a chance, I would love it if you take pictures of your cookies and send it to the email events@delphian.org. events@delphian.org, because I'd love to see how yours came out, and yeah, what animals you use, what cookie cutters. What did we have?
We had a dog, cat, and an elephant.
Right. So we had some interesting cookie cutters,
Yes, we did.
and we'd love to see what you did too. Okay. So we've got. Looks like we have about 2 minutes left on ours.
2 minutes, 10 seconds.
And well, hopefully they came out pretty well. Let's see if there are any other questions.
They have to be brownish on the side, on the edges.
Yeah, light brown. I hope everybody managed to get over any of the difficulties with doing this, like not having the baking soda or not having butter, and hopefully we worked this out.
Yes. We add all the stuff because we bake a lot.
And then maybe this afternoon, or if it's evening for you, you can have your cookies with your family and with some tea or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to that just in case people are using that slide. Okay.
All right, 1
minute.
Ooh.
You can check. Turn on the oven light and see.
They're looking pretty good.
Are they light brown yet?
I don't know because this is brown.
Okay, we'll wait 1 minute and then we're taking them out.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put them over here.
1 minute exactly. Oh, I'm excited.
Okay.
All right. Again, make sure you have a glove or two.
Yes, and that your parents there to help you. Okay,
Yes.
to get them out of the oven because it's hot. It is hot.
I can't grab anything now, but it helps.
Another thing I wanted to mention about the baking course that we've been doing, there are actually parts of it that we didn't do. I skipped over a few things, and there's also several recipes that you could do yourself from here. So it's worth checking it out and downloading it from that link so you can do those other recipes and try it out at your house.
If it's bad, you could just experiment with it.
Yes.
And just.
Okay, 7 seconds.
All right.
5.
Let's
Let's see how we're doing here.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, there it is. Okay, Ami's taking hers out. Let's check.
Maybe. Let's see. Is that good enough?
I think we're going to say yes.
All right.
They're out.
Here we
There's
go.
our cookies. And you're going to put them on the tray, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, go ahead and do that. You got it? Nice. All right, well, we're going to wait to have those cool down, and then we're going to definitely have some of that.
Remember, we have to take it off, though.
Yeah, we do have to take it off, so you can do
Yes.
that. Okay, well, it looks like we're wrapping things up for today. I hope you all got a chance to make the cookies and that they went well. And we really enjoyed doing this. We enjoyed having the class with you. And hopefully tomorrow, I think you know that tomorrow we're doing like a whole wrap up for our online classes, because tomorrow's our last day of doing that. And we hope to see you there, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you. Happy
Cookies are
baking.
good.
Happy baking.
Bye-bye.
Okay.